on this week's episode of The Pieces.
I started transitioning at the tail end of a golden age for trans rights. The scary part for me as a young trans woman is not knowing whether or not that golden age was a flash in the pan.
Yeah. I hate this phobia. Homophobia, transphobia. You're not scared.
Who would find me scary?
Yeah.
You know? If they stop giving us medicine, we'll find our medicine.
Mm-hmm.
If we haven't got housing, we'll find housing. Coming to a squat near you.
All right, babes, we are back with a brand new episode of The Pieces, and I am joined by the legendary, the infamous Czech Hunter Schafer.
Pow, 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 pow,
Pow,
pow.
pow, pow.
Thanks for having me, Diva.
Firstly, how are you?
Doing all right. Groggy, but alive.
Groggy.
You know, I'm not normally up at this early, you know, and it is the middle of the day.
Yeah, it's 2 o'clock, 2:30. But I'm also woke up very late today because I was at a gig last night, and I feel also groggy too, so we're just groggy as fuck.
Yeah, the dolls, the queens, girl, we get it.
We love it, we do it, we move. But you're okay though?
Yeah, surviving, thriving.
Good.
I mean, it's funny being here like this in the Bally. And I was like, oh, have you got a mirror I can like use? And then like, yeah, just down the hall. I'm like, girl, I'll be kicked out. I can't be walking around like the studio in a Bally.
Well, I feel like this is like universal buildings, so I'm sure they've like, if Links or like someone has walked around, like they've seen people with like, I've walked around in less clothes though.
No, but you're the new drill musician, right?
Yeah.
Followed us this way.
Yeah, exactly. But love that though. But so thank you for coming on the podcast. I'm excited to have a chat with you today about
baby.
About your life, because I feel like The Pieces is all about identity, and it's all about the pieces that make us who we are. So I just want to know, what was a formative moment that made you the person that you are today?
You know,
we're
like
going strong.
Like, I guess, girl, I'm a trans woman, you know, and like I started transitioning after university. I came back from like where I was to come back to London, and like I met the dolls in Voodoo Rays in Dalston, which you may know. And like that's where
I love that it's Voodoo Rays as well.
Yeah. Like that's where I've like met people, girl. And like I knew of transness, I knew of trans people, but I'd never met a trans woman. And until like I met the drag queens who are like in the smoking area saying T slurs, F slurs, etc. And that's who got me. And meeting those girlies was like a real formative moment, because then I was like, oh shit, these are my people. Yeah. It all kind of like clicked into place after that, you know?
How do you feel about the T slurs and F slurs being used? I think within the community.
Yeah.
Like if you're taking ownership of it, but I hate it like DL guys.
Oh yeah, go, no.
When they use the T slur, and I'm like, you do not have a right to do that. Like I've been with a DL guy recently, and as soon as he said that, I was like, get the fuck out. Like we had an argument. He was like, I was talking about the narrative of trans people in the media, and he's like, I don't think there is a bad narrative. And I was like, but you're like you're actively meeting trans women. It's like you're fetishizing them, and then you're using that T slur, and I just hated that.
Yeah, well, like the only they can use the F slur.
Yeah.
You know, but in terms of teaser, that's for us.
Yeah.
No, I feel like it's very funny when the DL guys have no idea about our community, apart from the only place they're seeing us is on like their Pornhub, babes.
Well, exactly.
And so I found it funny, like, because of like the ID, everyone having to put IDs in for all of these different websites. I was like, well, the first week of that, I noticed a lot less DL on Grindr. And I was like, I never felt more like, I'm sorry, I take it all back. Yeah. You know what? You're welcome, come back to us. Yeah. And then they came back and I was like, okay, never mind.
Yeah, they decided, you know what?
Yeah. Can't live with him, can't live without him.
Exactly. This is what I'm saying. But yeah, so what was that formative moment in Voodoo Rays? You met the dolls, you met the queens. Like, how has that shaped you now?
I mean, the estrogen's done a lot of shaping. I mean, the crazy part is I was like going to Trans Visions, like, which is the weekly night for the trans community in Dawson Superstore. I was going there before I realized I was a trans woman. But so I had to work through in my head. I'm like, I love being surrounded by these tall, handsome women. Yeah. But for what reasons have I got here? I'm like, I'm not a chaser for sure. I mean, they're gorgeous. I'm bi, but I'm like, that's not my tea. And I was like, slowly but surely, I was like, well, I guess if you're not here because you're fetishizing the dolls, and I'm definitely not here just because I'm liking the Charlie XCX remixes. So I guess there's a secret third option, which is I need to get some vials and sort my life out. And And that was only possible through like actually meeting the girlies. Like I didn't resonate with the online trans spaces that I had maybe seen because I mean, I don't code. I'm not that type of trans girl. I'm a ratty-tatty balaclava, let's wear some camo and get going, you know?
Yeah, and we love that.
Yeah.
It's identity and it's your individual identity. That's who you are. No one should ever like be able to say anything about that, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And discussing like transness and like being not trans enough, I think is just so toxic.
Yeah, period.
And like people love to have that conversation. And I think like that's something that I've seen happen. Like I moved to London in 2012. I remember the times when like the trans women were running everything. Like they were all the parties. Like it was like you would go everywhere and it was just so inclusive. And now it's so divided more than ever.
I always say the trans community, we're kind of like the mafia.
Yeah.
Because it's like everyone's got another name. You know? It's like, oh, that's Johnny Hormones and Johnny not on hormones yet. You know how like we've all got aliases. We always introduce each other through like, oh, don't worry, that's Shazza, that's a friend of ours. You know, it's a closed club, but like I, for instance, get annoyed if I have to pay for a drink in the bar. Because I'm like, don't you know who I am? Like, we're fully running these streets.
Well, when me and Barbs had actually started drag, that was kind of, we were doing it with the drink tickets.
Yeah,
no one was booking us properly for about a year and a half. We were just rolling around messes in like the Glory and they'd give us free drink tickets and we thought it was the shit.
Yeah,
we were like
exactly.
picking up our makeup off the floor, like using talc as like setting powder, like we were doing it all.
And you know, I want you to know that I'm keeping that going.
Keep it going.
I'm carrying the flag, baby.
Nothing has set my face like a bit of talc. That's what I will say. So going on to that, so creating like your I guess persona, your account, Czech Hunter Schafer. Tell us where the name came from.
You know where all good names come from? Gay pornography.
Do you know what? It's so funny. It's like I missed the Czech Hunter of it all. Like it wasn't in my algorithm of porn. So go figure. But
honestly, I only knew it through like the memes.
Yeah.
But so for those that don't know, Czech Hunter is a porno, like a gay porn site that would like is set in the Czech Republic, and it would be like these random twinks on the street, and they'll be like, "Do you want to, you know, suck my dick?" essentially, and then the twinks would be like, "Ew, no," but like in Czech, and they'd be like, "Well, what about this?" and hand them some money.
Yeah,
and then obviously like, well, I mean, I suppose I could do one or two.
Everyone's got a prize.
And then they revealed like the Born to Die tattoo and then also, of course, so that's Czech Hunter, that's the one side of it. And then like also Hunter Schafer of famous transsexual. And I thought, why not? Let's go for it.
I mean, cool. It makes sense.
It didn't like, I just started as a joke and now it's here and I'm like, damn. I used to watch like Drag Race and be like, when the drag queens would have the name of a pop star in their name, I'd be like, that's not going to be great for the branding.
Yeah.
And now I'm here and I'm like, well, shit. We'll roll with it.
For the branding, isn't it? Well, that's what I was going to say. Did you expect it to grow into something as big?
No, like I had like no aspirations to like, to be like, I guess, what would you call it? Like a meme page admin. I mean, it's not a career path, girl, but we're trying to make it one. But
I feel like that's coming, like, I feel like people like engaged with that content more now. It's like, it can be lighthearted, it can take the piss, it's like nuance. There's politics to it and there's so much. And I think like
I've actually had some like, and if she's listening, she'll know who she is, I won't name her, but I've had low-key beef with some queens, like from drag queens before, because we're good now. But a disconnect between the idea of like, well, when I'm on stage and I'm saying, you know, the club promoter here owes me money, but it's a joke. Like we like to get like cutthroat with it. Like it's understood as like, it's on stage, it's comedy, it's a part of it. But when I was doing that stuff online anonymously, I thought I was carrying on that tradition. But the girlies, when they found out who I was, were maybe not feeling the same way.
Right.
We've since, you know, I feel like there's a tradition of, I want people to know, like when I make content about the community I'm a part of, because I am there, I'm on these streets, I'm in the bars, I'm not on stage, I'm way too anxious for that, but I'm around the stage. Half shit faced getting those free drinks, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
Which is drag.
Yeah, totally is. Well, no, it's true. And I think like, yeah, I guess some people would get up. But if you could take a joke and like you can see it as that, like I think like...
You can take a dick, you can take a joke.
Listen, that's what I say all the time. If you can take a dick, you can take a joke. Say that to Yale guys because they can't take a joke. But a lot of them can take a dick. How much of the persona is a distortion of you, would you say? Or
I mean, where does the mask come off, you know? Honestly, girl, I don't know. It's like, I mean, imagine you'd have a similar thing, right? Where it's like, what's the persona and what's the person, or how much are you playing into it?
Yeah.
That's kind of why when I'm doing more like in-person content now and like public appearances and stuff, I wear the mask because I want to protect like, I don't want to be one of the few like public figure transsexuals in this country who ain't getting a check at the same time. You know, I'm way too poor to be famous. Like, unless I'm getting some money with it. With like the dire state of like how the dolls are treated by the media and like the political class, the children's authors community.
That's a good way to talk about it.
Yeah. So I'm out here like wearing this, and like, so when I take it off, I know that I'm not going to be recognized, and two, I can just be myself.
Yeah, and there's a power in that, I guess. You have control over. You take that power, because if everyone knows who you are or who it is, or like behind the mask, I guess that completely like takes away that identity, and like you no longer have ownership over something that you've created.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it's similar to like with the queens I hang out with. The amount of times I've had to like, I had to have one of the divas like reintroduce themselves to me, because if you can't like say, oh hi, I'm da-da-da, and then out of drag, you're like I'm going to completely know who that is, girl. You're two different people to me.
I've definitely seen people online being like, I know who this person is. Does that happen a lot?
Yeah.
Do you get outed by her?
Like the girlies who know. The girlies that don't. I just don't want to be doxxed. I don't really mind like, I don't like when people tell others who I am without me knowing, but I've definitely traded my anonymity for bumping that, you know? I trade it for what I want, you know.
Listen, you gotta use the system. The system uses you. The system uses
free
people.
drink tickets, you know,
Exactly.
8 invites to the afters. I'm not above utilizing it for that purpose, but it's for me to reveal.
Have you ever felt the pressure to reveal yourself?
I mean, not necessarily. I feel like I've enjoyed the fact that I feel like I'm one of the few trans women who I can safely say that I'm not being used for how passing I am, how my face is looking, my proximity to cisness, because I look like Pussy Riot right now. Maybe I'm Penis Riot, but I know what I'm giving. Like, you can't say that I'm getting my opportunities, and we have to utilize what we can. But I appreciate the fact that now I can confidently say that when I'm doing what I'm doing, it's because they wanted to get the crazy looking one in the studio. Is
it like a full-time job though? It must be, because you're on it.
Well, full-time 365 party girl. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I feel like the work-life balance is precarious, because a lot of my work is in the nighttime.
Yeah.
And it's easy to get led astray.
Very easy.
You know, fall into some some shady figures.
Yeah.
But
the night walkers.
Yeah, the night walkers, exactly. But I managed to make it work.
I mean, definitely do. I feel like you're always on it, and like whatever's happening in the zeitgeist, it's like there's a meme. The account has relevance to politics and social commentary. I think it's something that you're part of the community, and a lot of it can be satirical, I think, as well, and a lot of it can like laugh at certain topics, and I think that's powerful there.
Yeah, like I think like when I'm feeling up my own arse, I will call it satire.
Yeah.
Like that's how I like to I can repackage it that way. It started as just putting some jokes onto some images and being a bit of a shady bitch behind the safety of a screen. But like now I do think that there's way, with the reach that I have and the people who follow me and people I admire and respect, like who say like, oh, that gagged me, girl. I have to be very aware of what I'm putting out into the world, and I also have to be aware that there's not many dolls who get the opportunity to make fun of these institutions and not then completely be dragged through the mud by every Tom, Dick, and tranny in the scene.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I get to get away with that, and like with great power comes great responsibility. You know.
So with your own podcast, T-Slur, what was the decision to do that? I feel like that's kind of putting yourself out there.
Yeah, well, like the elevator pitch was always, it's like being stuck in a smoking area with the two craziest dolls you know.
Yeah.
Because I did it with my bestie, who for purposes of the podcast is called Bestie.
Yeah.
Because we're original. And we like, We could never tell if it was shade when people would tell us when we were riffing off each other, you should do a podcast. But we decided we were going to do it anyway and see what happened, see where the cards fell. And like now it's perhaps, it feels like a fever dream. Some of the episodes when we listen back.
Yeah. It's like, did I really say that?
I'm like, was I there?
Yeah, I'm to be honest, I release an episode of this every week. Sometimes I listen back and think, what was I saying there? Like, what was I going through? Something was happening.
Yeah,
I've had breakdowns on this
fugue
podcast. Yeah. Do you think that the internet culture punishes sincerity?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't know. I'd have to try being sincere.
But I think you're sincere in a way.
Yeah, we tried a line.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like the age-old like PR question, right? Like, do you address it if there's something that's being said about you? Do you not? Good is all bad publicity, good publicity. I think as a trans woman, it's all bad publicity anyway, so we roll with it.
Yeah.
Like I've kind of stopped. I've tried to be sincere as I can with the people who deserve it, but I've also come to realize that we are, as trans women, we're held to a completely different standard. I saw a tweet once that said trans women are the women of women. That annoyed a lot of people, but I think it's the T. We're at the sharp wedge of misogyny.
But it is a definite form of misogyny. I had a conversation with someone and they said it's not misogyny, and I said it definitely is. Like it's the femininity or the seen as weakness, and like it is a form of misogyny, but it's transphobia. Phobia, not for scared of trans people. I hate this phobia, homophobia, transphobia. You're not scared. Like you're a dick.
Yeah, who would find me scary?
Yeah, but it's like, and actually the narrative has changed now that they have created it so that trans people and also migrants are the ones to be feared right now.
Yeah.
When actually trans people fear for their safety more than any part of the community, part of society.
Yeah, exactly. Like
and I don't know how they did that.
It's like a prejudiced judo. Like how they've turned it against us. They've used our own weight of our own experience to then attack us. But it doesn't kill you, makes you stronger or whatever. I feel like as a community, we've got so many levers of power that we've had to use in our own because we've just got no access to any power elsewhere. So, I mean, as the trans community is the only community I know that can organize around. If they stop giving us medicine, we'll find our medicine. If they stop giving us access to opportunities, we'll make our opportunities. If we haven't got housing, we'll find housing. Come into a squat near you. Like, we're going to get there, Yeah. We're not reliant because we've not had the access. So, I mean, if you want to sit on a yacht and Twitter fingers turn to trigger fingers, that's okay with me, girl. I can tweet as good as the best of them, you know?
Exactly. Would you say like the meme culture is like the new, like, I don't know, the new op-ed page that people just love to go to?
If you just said it, so I'm going to put that in my Patreon bio.
There we go.
I feel like meme culture is like Dadaism, I put some subjects in a hat into the zeitgeist, we shuffle around it and we see what madness you can take from it. It's riffing on what's already there. It's making up stuff. And if it's the more insane, the more people resonate.
What was like the first meme, not that you created, but that you kind of remember seeing? I said mine were like Gemma Collins memes.
Oh, period.
Yeah. Like after Big Brother, like she became a meme. And I don't know if that like obviously did really well for her career.
I'm claustrophobic, Darren.
Yeah, that was like when I think meme culture really started taking off. And then people were like using it as funny. But then, like when did you start?
Well,
what was your first one? Can you remember?
For me, it's like, I mean, I was on the internet way too young. I was in one of those, like, I was one of the poor kids who would go to like, we didn't have internet at my house. So I'd be going to the internet cafe with all of the most ragtag bunch of kids in my school, and we'd be playing like some rancid video games that you can only get on like addicting games and stuff like that. And so I remember like seeing like early keyboard cat, like memes, Nyan cat, all cat based. Now I think about it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I'm so pussy. I don't know. But I remember that. But for me, I always think my like influence most is like Bugs Bunny. It's the like the Looney Tunes of it all. which is why my reference is always so cutting edge.
But I love that. And I think like finding references and niche references inspired by that is where it's at. Like you could, like following trends, I think is boring, you know? And like, I hate it. Like when I do I've done a photo shoot where it's like, I have to wear the outfit and it's like styled how the designer did it on a runway. I'm like, that's not styling.
Yeah.
You're not styling. No one's styling anymore. Like, it's like, you're literally just copying a runway look from the show. And it's like, there's no creativity there.
Yeah. No one wants to style anymore.
Nope. Get your fucking ass up in style.
Well, I'm glad that we have the same stylist, clearly.
Well, this is it. Literally, like little crop top and army pants.
We look like we're joining the gender wars on the side of gender.
Well, it's basically that's happening right now.
Yeah.
Like it's like the Hunger Games, but gender wars. What do you think makes something actually iconic? Or ironically iconic?
Ironically iconic. Again, you're giving me so much I can put down on the Patreon, Diva. I appreciate it. I feel like just be yourself. No, don't do that.
Don't be yourself.
Don't do that, girl. They'll eat you up. I think like being iconic is being different. I don't really know anyone or any pop star, celebrity, runway model, etc., who you will like look towards as an icon and be like, oh yeah, reminds me of. Like,
true.
You got to stand out. But then again, I don't really know. I'm just a girl with a page.
Like I think for me, an ironically iconic person would be like Cruising with Jane McDonald. You know, like it's iconic, and it's like just I don't know. Look, she's ironically iconic. She doesn't mean to be.
So you're a fan of Cruising, is what you're saying?
Well, this is what I'm trying to say. This is what I'm literally trying to say. What's a meme that you think people have misunderstood completely?
Oh, girl, I made one of the first like Kamala is brat memes, and then
and
then like Charlie XCX tweeted like this. I think it was like the same day or day after, like Kamala is brat, and I was like, God, did I do that? Because I know some of her team follows me, and I'm like, is there a world in which? Because then Kamala comes out and says Kamala is brat, and I've seen people like suggest that that's what lost her the election.
I mean, if you said it first, you definitely did.
So I may repeat. So sorry. Everyone, like I may be responsible for this.
Yeah, where's the check?
Like
you
Donald,
use it in your campaign. Well, I feel like we're in a post-irony era, and I think everyone's wanting authenticity. Do you think you have a level of irony, or I think it's authentic what you're saying? I think it's like comes with a bit of satire. That's what we said earlier.
I don't know, babes. I'm Irish, I'm Cockney. A lot of my family are Glaswegian. I don't know where the irony stops and the reality begins.
Well, this is it. When you grow up with that family, my family's Scottish. My dad's from Clapham, like literally Clapham gay. Like that's what I mean. It's always been like that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's always been jokes. It's always been like a lot of drinking.
Yeah. Then like I've got this accent, but I'm Irish. I'm a woman, but I was born a man. Like, girl, who knows what's real and what's fake these days?
Well,
like, I'm just going with it.
Yeah.
Like, and I'll let everyone else decide where the authenticity is.
Do you think like there's a certain flattened nuance because of the internet now? Like people are, because I think like what the algorithms feed, and obviously when you get picked up by the algorithm to the good side, it can be great, but when you get picked up on the bad side, it's not very nice. But like I feel like they tried to keep us, I don't know, separate so much.
Yeah.
And like seeing things and keeping us divided. And I think like we're lacking like so much humanness.
Yeah.
Like humanity, like in the sense of like understanding each other or wanting to understand each other. So I don't know what the question was asking. I think I was just saying a statement.
No, I feel you, baby. Like for me, it's like like I said before, like it's a lot of like the online trans spaces that I was seeing was maybe more reflective of a type of trans woman who might have like found out that she's trans through being on Tumblr at the same time as Ethel Cain started to come out. And like I know those girls. I can relate to some of that.
Yeah.
I do ketamine in my bedroom too. You know?
I mean, Tumblr was definitely a place where I looked and glamorized drug use.
Yeah.
Like it was like somewhere that you'd see that and be like, I want to be like that. Yeah. And it was quite weird that is the mentality I had.
I was introduced to Lana Del Rey, like Lana Del Rey and Effie from Skins.
Exactly.
And like, here we are. But to be fair, what I more related to was the dull experience of like, you know, being out in the bars and being at the afters. And then another afters, another club, like that was what I wanted. I feel like what I can do, or what I've realized is that a lot of my followers, a lot of like the audience that I have, are some of them are on that world and some of them are on that world, and then I'm scooting down the middle, like bringing us together, I guess.
What's the most viewed meme you've got? Do you know like the one that's got the most views?
Yeah, and it's not good, babes.
What?
It's a meme. I don't even know how to describe it. So there's these two like hand soaps, and one of them like it's just someone filming it. It just like squirts, goes out a little bit. Another one squirts, shoots across, and I'm like after estrogen, before estrogen, and I've got like 5 million views or something. I'm
That's
like, crazy.
Great.
This is my magnum opus.
Yeah,
talking about tranny cum.
It's. But listen, there's a niche.
There's an audience for it. There's an
audience for
there's
it.
A market.
That's why like trans porn is like number 3 most watched, right?
Yeah. Good job, girls.
Yeah.
We
Keep it
made
going. Do you ever feel exhausted?
Trying to constantly, daily post, create, like riff on my own destruction can sometimes be a bit tiring. At the same time, it's where I'm at. Like I'm trying to find a way of not letting myself be dragged down by everything that's going on, but also giving yourself space to actually feel what you got to feel.
I mean, it's hard. It's hard when it's literally everywhere and people are talking about it. And I think like I saw a video of me like talking about supporting the Dolls back in like 2020 on stage, and it's like still now 2026 the conversation got worse. Like it's like it's been getting worse. We've been seeing it being getting worse, but now it just feels like So taking time for yourself is very important. Self-care.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's like, it's funny you mention that because like, so I've been transitioning for 4 or 5 years, and I started, I feel like I started transitioning at the tail end of a golden age for trans rights.
Yeah.
And now that pendulum's swinging back. The scary part for me as a young trans woman is not knowing whether or not that golden age was a flash in the pan.
Yeah.
Or if we are due another I think era of inclusivity.
I think it will happen. And like 20 years ago, Nadia won Big Brother. Remember like how that was an iconic moment. Like she was a trans woman that the whole of Britain, because everyone was watching at the time, fell in love with for being authentic, being herself, was not seen as a threat, was not being vilified. It's scary how people don't think for themselves, I think.
No, people just be saying shit.
Yeah.
But so do I.
And so do
maybe
I.
I'm a hypocrite.
So do I. So listen, this is it. I was about to ask you, has your persona ever said something that you wouldn't say? Or do you think you would say all, or do you think...
Has my persona ever said something I wouldn't say?
Yeah.
I'm going to use that with my therapist. It wasn't me, it was the persona.
Yeah, exactly.
It's giving Hannibal Lecter.
But that itself, like Hannibal Lecter, like the Silence of the Lambs, there was like a person, like a murderer... Oh, sorry, it's getting a bit dark now. But like, it's a murderer that would dig up women because he wanted to be a woman back in like the day, like back in like the 30s or 40s, and he had his mum in a rocking chair who was like not well. His mum like abused him and stuff. But that was used for Psycho. That was used for like Texas Chainsaw. That was used throughout history, and it was based on that. The idea of like a trans, like one single person that was obviously like troubled. And I think like that's what's happening now is like they're using like one example.
Yeah.
When it's like, if we're gonna do that, why are we not like talking about the Epstein's files as much as we are? Why are we not like saying all men are gonna do this?
Yeah, and I feel like I know the case you're referencing because I think they've recently put it in like a Netflix TV show, Brian Murphy.
Monster.
Yeah, Monster. And made it all like, and like inserted a trans narrative around it.
Yeah.
They asked that serial killer in Love That We Don't Know His Name. Because you don't deserve it. Long dead serial killer. But they asked him in prison when he was alive, like a psychologist or a journalist was like, so when did you start transitioning? And then he was like, what's that? He wasn't aware of transness at all. That was something that was put onto him.
Yeah.
And now we've got TV shows connecting his story with that of trans people at a time when trans femicide, at a time with like trans inclusion and etc. is like highest it's been in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy to me.
Yeah. It's worrying and it's scary, and I feel like the tactics are just insidious now. I think I asked you this, but is it harder to maintain your ambiguity as you're growing?
I try my best not to be too concerned with how I'm perceived, because so much of my life as a doll is failing at that mission of not being aware. Like when I'm walking down the street, I'm aware of who clocked me, who didn't clock me, if I'm being clocked. So I haven't got time for when it comes to goofing and gagging on the internet to worry about if it's going to be laughed at or not. Take me how you're going to find me. So much of my identity in my day-to-day is so like weighed down by how I'm being, like a cisgender doctor can look at me and say, well, I'm not going to give you your medicine because I don't think you're doing transness right.
And the fact that that's even a thing that somebody can say is just outrageous. I feel like the whole passing and non-passing is like just toxic.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like, let them take it how they want to take it.
Do you give a shit about how people perceive some of your irony or
if I accidentally hurt people, like if I accidentally hurt someone,
you don't do it intentionally to hurt people.
No. Like it's always, I want people to know it's always like tongue in cheek. I'm never trying to like, but the tea is with comedy, you're always good comedy is taking it to the line, and
people
sometimes you fall
off. People
off.
should be able to do that though, and I think people aren't. People hate criticism, so I guess if you do, and somebody does take it the wrong way, it must feel annoying or like feel you don't want to do that unless they are a massive dick.
Yeah, no, but like I found it. One of the things I struggled with is like I got some messages from some trans men and some comments sometimes where it's like, well, it's just a bit sad that you don't do much about, T-boys. Don't do many jokes about us. And on the one hand, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, babies. I wish I could. And on the other hand, I'm like, girl, not girl, but girl, the gay she. I'm like, divas, if you're following me, you got to understand that I can only make content about my own experiences.
And I think that's a valid way to be and look at that.
Yeah, I can't. Like, what am I going to do? Start making it like riffing on binders? Like, it's not my experience, babes. Yeah. I can only go where I can go.
Because it could go the other way if you do.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
People will be like, "Hang on a minute, what you?" Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's right to do that. If your account disappeared tomorrow, what would you miss the most, and what would you miss the least?
Oh damn! Don't give them ideas. I feel like I'm always on one last like report away from it going.
Do you ever check your account status? Because you can do that, can't you? I think
it's important to know your status.
Yes, it is. It is.
If I do, Get I check tested. It. I do some. Yeah, I guess like what I worry about is if I lose it. Like I try not to think about it too much. But if I lost it, I guess what I'd miss most is the free entry to the club.
But what would be annoying is if that was to happen is like the right are so quick on freedom of expression and not freedom of expression. I hate that. Freedom of speech.
Yeah.
And if you get an account taken away where you're just saying your truth and saying things that are relatable to you and your community, it's something that I think that's wrong for social media to do. So they shouldn't be able to do that.
No, yeah, it's the free speech for when it suits them and not for when it doesn't.
That's it.
But at the same time, I feel like I'm just a go of an account. I'm not running for office. Do you know what I mean? Like,
not yet.
You
got the slogans.
2026.
Yeah. Well, we need something. What's like a post? Would you say there's a post that changed everything?
I'm still waiting for it to change, babes. I'm not gonna lie. I'm still on UC.
Oh no, I think you mentioned the one, the 5 million view one.
Yeah, like it's.
Is it the ones that you think aren't going to do anything that do the most?
Yeah,
that's
like
right. That always happens, right?
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. Maybe this cuts out if people are perceiving me as an artist with integrity, then I might lose them on this. But for me, it's throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll make something I'm like that's going to be a real hit and it gets nothing.
Yeah.
And then you make a meme about transgender ejaculation and it gets put in front of everyone and their mother. And that's my life. That's where we are.
But it's funny, because like in a different way, I can fucking curate a post, does shit, do something off the cuff, off the whim, like, and it can go viral. And you're just like, how has that happened? Like, what? It's like basically everyone that is listening, put the least effort in.
Yeah, look,
try less.
The public wants what the public wants.
This is
that's if they want diva slop, I'll give them diva slop.
I want to read out some statements. I want you to answer them. The internet has killed authenticity.
Was that song Something Killed the Radio Star? Video killed a radio star. Internet killed authenticity. I don't know. It feels like everything's been dying for a while.
Or was there any authenticity in the first place?
Clock it.
This is it. Anonymity is the future of influence.
No, girl, just me. I don't need competition.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. Well, I feel like if you go on fucking X, which we don't do, but it does have good things on it. Some good things. People are all anonymous on there. Like people have like literal like porn sites or porn accounts that are like millions of views and they're anonymous.
That's disgusting. What site is this you're saying?
Yes.
Just so I know to avoid it.
Hung 10-inch daddy. Every meme is political.
I think everything's political, not just memes. It's the world we live in.
When your existence is politicized, I think everything is.
Yeah, well, you didn't fall out of a coconut tree. Just to quote a fan of Czech Hunter Schafer, Kamala.
That's hilarious. That is hilarious.
I think we're like, yeah, everything's political, babes. I'm a communist at the end of the day.
Who's the maddest person that follows you?
I mean, the one that surprised me the most for a while was Tom Harwood, like the right-wing journalist. So I was like, do you know what I'm joking about here, girl? But other than that, it's mainly it's dolls, famous dolls follow me, drag queens.
Do you know what's interesting about like Tom Harwood? I'm not supporting any of his views, but he goes on GB. He actually stands up for the dolls on there, which I think is good that he does that.
Yeah, you know, unless they're an immigrant.
Yeah. Well, this is it. But like, I have seen him like speak. I've like seen clips of him like go against like Piers Morgan about it, and I'm like, the fact that he's said that, I was like, I don't respect the views, but I'm glad someone's doing it on that platform, you know?
Yeah, well, that's what we mean. More right-wing demon twinks.
Yes.
That's how...
There are plenty, because otherwise the Tories wouldn't have kept getting in. Because now it's reform, innit? So vote Green. Last question. Where do you find your power?
I don't know, babes. When you find it, you let me know. It's the dolls. I find power in like the trans community. We're such a disenfranchised, disempowered group that we have to find strength in each other, and that's how we get forward. At the end of the day, I'm just a doll with a meme page. Like, I'm still on UC. I'm still need to get those free drinks at the bar.
Yeah.
But we get through with each other, I guess. Power from the dolls.
Power from the dolls. Czech Hunter Schafer, thank you so much for coming on The Pieces. I will be joining you on your podcast, Slurs. Go follow, go listen, go like, and see you next time.
Oh, thanks, baby.